familia humana. La Pachamama canto, yo escucho sus palabras. Ella dice basta, no a la matanza. Cálmense mis hijos, piensen en mañana. La esperanza vive en los ojos de chiquitos. Otro mundo es posible, ya está escrito. Like the San Patricios, fighting for the Mexicans. Forget a flag, man, freedom what I represent. Oye, mi gente, traemos la fuerza. La libertad es mi única bandera. Traigan nacidos, nacidos, nacidos. Nothing that we will ever be illegal. We belong, we belong, we belong, we belong, we belong together. We belong, we belong, we belong, we belong, we belong together. We belong, we belong, we belong, we belong, we belong together. We belong, we belong, we belong, we belong, we belong together.
United we stand, together we grow. From the tip of your sword to the curve of my bow, I will protect you as if you were my own. You will protect me with every fiber of power that you own, because we are not alone in the future that we build, because the earth will inherit the meat still. So power to the people, power to the organizers, from Ferguson to peak scale. We will ignite the masses like fire to matches, ride the phoenix to heaven. From the dust of these ashes we will fight like Cassius, turn Muhammad so we get what we're promised and be all we can be. We will fight till we're free. We will fight till we're free. We will fight till we're free.
No están solos, no están solas, juntos hacemos la liberación. No están solos, no están solas, juntos hacemos la liberación. No están solos, no están solas, juntos hacemos la liberación. La
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Freedom Church of the Poor. My name is Ciara Taylor. I'm a brown-skinned person with blonde braids. And as always, we'd like to start off with our accessibility statement. Here at Freedom Church of the Poor, we strive to make this space as accessible to all. We invite you to come as you are, to act out of empathy, to hold each other in our full humanity, to hold ourselves and others accountable, but always with grace and love, and dream of a world where all thrive. And thank you to New Disabled South for their statements and principles in which we draw upon. And to open us up, we have no better way than with our hero herself, Miss Sylvia Rivera.
Let her speak. Just a moment. Just a moment. Just a moment. I would like to avoid any trouble. This is a day of unity for us. I want us to be happy. All right, it's up to the gay people. What do you want to do? Listen, we don't know what you want. Now, do you want these people to speak? Wait a minute. Wait, please wait. Please wait. Will the people who want it say yes? That's the end of the conversation. She is speaking. I said the same thing. You're right. Hi, lady. Y'all better quiet down. Nothing. I've been trying to get up here all day for your gay brothers and your gay sisters in jail. They write me every motherfucking week and ask for your help. And you all don't do a goddamn thing for them. Have you ever been beaten up and raped in jail? Now think about it. They've been beaten up and raped after they haven't spent much of their money in jail to get their cell phones and try to get their sex change. The women have tried to fight for their sex changes or to become women of the women's liberation. And they write SKOR, not the women's group. They do not write women. They do not write men. They write SKOR because we're trying to do something for them. I have been to jail. I have been raped and beaten many times by men, heterosexual men that do not belong in the homosexual shelter. But did you do anything for them? No. You all tell me to go and hide my tail between my legs. I will not no longer put up with this shit. I have been beaten. I have had my nose broken. I have been thrown in jail. I have lost my job. I have lost my apartment for gay liberation. And you all treat me this way? What the fuck's wrong with you all? Think about that. I do not believe in a revolution, but you all do. I believe in the gay power. I believe in us getting our rights, or else I would not be out there fighting for our rights. That's all I wanted to say to your people. If you all want to know about the people that are in jail, and do not forget Bambi Lamore and Dora Marks, Kenny Messner, and other gay people that are in jail, come and see the people at SKOR House on 12th Street, on 640 East 12th Street, between B and C, apartment 14. The people that are trying to do something for all of us, and not men and women that belong to a white middle class, white club. And that's what you all belong to. Revolution now! Give me a G! Give me an A! Give me a Y! Give me a P! Give me an O! Give me a W! Give me an A! Give me an O! Gay power! Louder gay power! We're gonna do it again. Okay. Elena, leave.
I just want to thank Minister Moses for sharing that video with the planning team for this Pride season. I've seen it before, but I didn't necessarily know the context in which Sylvia was speaking in at this gay pride rally in 1973. nor that I know that shortly after she spoke and she had to fight to speak at that rally, she attempted to end her life. And the piece and the selection we're going to be reading from tonight of our sacred text, one by Sylvia, she talks about her mother trying to end her life, and Sylvia's when she was very young. And her mother did that because she said that Sylvia's life was going to be so hard. And Sylvia's life was hard. And yet I'm so glad that she lived. And I just appreciate that speech, that she didn't get up there and just glorify herself, but she called on the people to remember those who are hurting, to remember those who are incarcerated, those who are struggling to survive, to remember the least of these. And so in that spirit, wanting to start us off with We Remember You by Flowbots, and bring in some of the names of our transcestors who have come before us and have made this world not only a better place, but a more courageous terrain to struggle in. We remember you. We remember you. We remember you. We remember you. This is for Sylvia. This is for Marsha P. Johnson. This is for Miss Major. This is for Frances Thompson and Lynn Conway and Cecilia Hinthiel, Christine Jorgensen, Wiwa, and so many others. The command to remember is a political and spiritual act, because in every generation, empires depend on us forgetting. They depend on us forgetting who suffers. They depend on us forgetting who resists. They depend on us forgetting who God stands with. Today we remember the names and witness of Sylvia Rivera, who refused to let the trans community be pushed to the back of the bus. She reminded us that liberation cannot be won by sacrificing the most vulnerable. She proclaimed a truth that remains urgent today. If we do not fight for one another, we will all be put down. Today we hear Moses calling the people to remember the wilderness. Remember the hunger, remember the serpents and scorpions, remember the long journey through a land that seemed determined to destroy us. And remember, in the midst of that wilderness, God made a way when there was no way, bringing water from rock, manna from heaven, and life out of conditions designed for death. The wilderness reveals who is left behind. The wilderness reveals whose life are considered disposable. And the wilderness reveals where God can be found. God is not with Pharaoh. God is with the people crossing the desert. God is not with those who weaponize religion to maintain power. God is with those organizing for life. For the same God who brought water from stone is still working among us. The same spirit that sustained our ancestors in the wilderness is still moving among us. And the same power that helped our elders survive, organize, and resist is alive today. And so let us continue this season with courage, and let us tell the truth. Let us honor our queer and trans saints. Let us build what we need to survive. And let us organize, 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 and struggle and celebrate and love our way towards liberation for all. Welcome to worship. And with that, we'll get into our mission statement for Freedom Church of the Poor. The Freedom Church of the Poor is a spiritual and political home for movement leaders. We believe in the fundamental dignity and value of all life and in a world of abundance where all can thrive. We gather as a community of faith to support and care for each other. We commit to realizing the abundant world God promises by identifying, developing, and uniting leaders who build a movement to end poverty led by the poor. In this community and through our commitment to this struggle, we seek to rediscover and share a vision and practice of religion that is rooted in truth, justice, and in love.
Hi, y'all. This is Adam. Use he, him pronouns. I have a white skin, wearing glasses and a beard and a black shirt. And I'm joining to read the Pride Statement, season statement tonight. In recent years, queer and trans people have been targeted by escalating waves of political and personal violence. In 2025 alone, more than 771 anti-trans bills were introduced in state and federal legislatures across the United States. Politicians and religious leaders continue to rely on the age-old tactic of scapegoating LGBTQ+ communities, stoking fear and misunderstanding about queer and trans lives to distract from the real crisis we face today: poverty, homelessness, unjust wars, climate collapse, and more. The current assault on trans and non-binary people in the US is inseparable from the exponential rise of Christian nationalism and religious extremism. This movement is not new. It is deeply rooted in the very fabric of the American experiment. Being poor, trans, and queer are not separate struggles. Trans and non-binary people are twice as likely to be unemployed, experience homelessness, and 4 times more likely to live in extreme poverty than the general population. Historically and constantly pushed to the side of mainstream movements for freedom and justice, trans and queer leaders have constantly used creativity and moral conviction to develop brilliant projects of survival and rebellious and groundbreaking protest tactics. When examined, we see that currently and historically, trans and queer leaders and organizations hold important lessons and visions for what our movement so desperately needs: clarity, moral conviction, and a whole lot of joy, culture, and love. This Pride season, Freedom Church of the Poor will uplift the sacred authority, clarity, insight, and commitment of queer and trans leaders before us and today. Drawing from lessons of historic survival organizing drives of LGBTQ+ leaders and saints like Street Transvestites Action Revolutionaries, ACT UP, and more. We will examine the role that projects of survival and movement building have long been a part of our queer and trans traditions. We will empower leading trans and queer organizers across the country to declare the truth. God works within us and around us, and we will organize and struggle for liberation for us all.
Thank you so much, Minister Adam, for that reading. Next, I would like to invite Jacob Butterly, who is going to help us with the cultural offering this evening. Thank you so much for joining us, Jacob. I'm so excited.
Thanks, Ciara. It's really great to be here. I pre-recorded for video, so I could share. I don't know if someone else is prepped to share, but I'll say I was really, we're going to do the scripture readings in a second, but it's Deuteronomy and Sylvia, Rivera, so it's 2 prophets. We've got Moses and Sylvia, and I was really struck this week reading and thinking about sort of the essence of what they're both saying here, which is I think, you could say it's not enough that you've gotten yours, in fact, you're sort of you're missing the point, that there's injustice in this land, that there's people hungry, that there's more to do, that how quick, sort of this chastisement of like how quick you are to forget exactly what people have been going through. And so I was thinking about this old hymnal called Farther Along, which is really this masterclass of placating religion. Farther along, we'll hear all about it. Farther along, we'll meet in the air. Cheer up, my brothers, live in the sunshine. We'll understand it all by and by. Like, keep your head up. Don't worry about how hard things are. Someday you're going to die and you're going to go to heaven and everything's going to be all right. And I don't know many prophets who were running around saying that sort of message to folks. Don't think you are allowed to do that when you're a prophet. So anyway, that was a spirit that I took with rewriting the song a little bit, changing it up. Okay. All right. I can share. I'm seeing the messages. So I have to give me 1 second. Sorry. This works.
Worn out and tired when left here to wonder why it should be so all the day long, while our own siblings go on without us and leave us behind here suffering and they sing farther along, we know all about it. Farther along, you'll get your own time. Cheer up, my family, just live in the sunshine. You'll get yours someday by and by. When death has come and taken our loved ones, leaving our home so lonely and drear, brothers and sisters who've gone on to prosper, why do you reject us year after year? Farther along, we know all about it. Farther along, you'll get your own time. Cheer up, sweet people, come live in the sunshine. You'll get yours someday by and by. Often I wonder, why must I journey over a road so rugged and steep, while all around us is endless abundance, while with the lost I labor and sleep. Farther along, we'll know all about it. Farther along, we'll get your own time. my family, come live in the sunshine. You'll get yours someday by and by. Proud and forgetful, they've got all they want now. Proud and selfish, they forget where they came. For they got theirs, we dreamed of a promise. Together we fought for our freedom to gain. Farther along, we know all about it. Farther along, you'll all get your time. Cheer up, my family, come live in the sunshine. You'll get it someday, all by and by.
Wow, Jacob. That was so good. I need the lyrics thank you so much for that incredible song. Now we're going to get into the sacred text for this evening, as Jacob referenced. We'll start with Deuteronomy. Moses said to the people, "Remember how for 40 years now the Lord your God has directed all your journeying in the desert, so as to test you by affliction and to find out whether or not it was your intention to keep his commandments. He therefore let you be afflicted with hunger and then fed you with manna, a food unknown to you and your fathers, in order to show you that not by bread alone does one live, but every word that comes forth from the mouth of the Lord. Do not forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, that place of slavery, who guided you through the vast and terrible desert with its serpents and scorpions, its parched and waterless ground, who brought forth water for you from the flinty rock and fed you in the desert with manna, a food unknown to your fathers." And now returning to Sylvia, a reading from Queens in Exile. I enjoyed Gay Liberation Front better because we concentrated on many issues for different struggles. We're all in the same boat as long as we're being oppressed one way or the other, whether we are gay, straight, trans, black, yellow, green, purple, or whatever. If we don't fight for each other, we'll be put down. And after all these years, the trans community is still at the back of the bus. I despise that. I'm hurt and get depressed a lot about it, but I will not give up because I won't give the mainstream gay organizations the satisfaction of keeping us down. If we give up, they win, and we can't allow them to win. The reason we right now as trans community don't have all the rights they have is that we allowed them to speak for us for so many damn years, and we bought everything they said to us. Oh, let us pass our bill and then we'll come for you. Yeah, come for me. 32 years later, and they're still coming for me. And what have we got here? Where it all started. Trans people have nothing. We can no longer let people like the Empire State Pride agenda, the HRC in Washington speak for us. And it really hurts me that some gay people don't even know what we gave for their movement. And so for our first reflection this evening, we will have a recording by Pringle.
One sec. All right, hold on, sir.
I'm Cal. I'm a non-binary person. I have light skin, long brown hair that's pulled back from my face, a brown mustache and beard, and I'm wearing a white shirt. To set the stage a bit for this passage from Deuteronomy, Moses and a mixed multitude of poor and dispossessed folks have come to the promised land after escaping Egypt and wandering in the wilderness. And having had this exciting breakthrough, Moses is worried about a conflict in the genre of event that they're about to have. Moses can tell that a lot of his folks are geared up for a celebration, but Moses knows that there's still work to do and is looking for remembrance. I was a part of a training for young organizers with the Kairos Center earlier this year, and one of the things we talked about was these different genres of event. We talked about 6 types: celebration, remembrance, reclamation, healing or transformation, mourning, and direct action. And we talked about how it can cause a lot of heartache if folks involved in planning or participating in an event aren't on the same page about the genre. And so in verses 2 and 3, Moses is redirecting folks from a celebration to a remembrance. And the stakes of this are high for Moses. For him, becoming the just community that he hopes they will be depends on remembering where they've come from. I read this passage as a conflict over the genre of an event because of how a conflict over the genre of a pride event changed the course of my life. I was an NCAA volleyball coach for almost 5 years. I thought I'd do that for my whole life. Being a sports fan and a coach for so long, I've organized, attended, and watched on TV a number of pride games. And what I've noticed about their genre is that they're almost always and almost exclusively celebrations. There's nothing inherently wrong about celebrations. Queer people have a lot to celebrate, just like the Israelites did in Deuteronomy. Celebration can mark our wins and re-energize us for the fight ahead. But when all we do is celebrate, we're likely to slip into what Walter Brueggemann calls static triumphalism. Static triumphalism is thinking that we've won all that we need to win, and we can sit back and relax, basking in the glow of our successes. Rather than reinvigorating us for the fight ahead, static triumphalist celebrations sap our will and make us comfortable. This is the dangerous implication of pride games that merely celebrate and try to say that queer folks are welcome in sports. That having won the civil rights that we've won, the battle is over and we've won. But the fact is that queer people don't belong in sports and we don't belong in American society. Not yet, we don't. We've yet to make it to the mountaintop, and the measure of civil rights and acceptance that we have won are in the process of eroding. So the conflict over the Pride event came when folks around me wanted to have a celebration and I wanted to have a direct action. This was the first Pride game we'd be hosting since the NCAA reversed its policy and rebanned trans women from playing. And so I wanted to criticize the NCAA for this hateful decision. One of the athletes wrote up a statement, which I'll share on the screen here. The original statement reads, Kenyan volleyball has also chosen to place a focus on trans rights and trans athletes. The NCAA has recently banned trans athletes, stating that they are a threat to women's sports. But we do not see it this way and believe all athletes deserve their game day. We believe trans women belong in classrooms, locker rooms, in sports, and in any space that people can come together to connect, compete, and celebrate. Crossed out by the head coach are the mention of the NCAA's policy, a statement of our disagreement with that policy, and the words locker rooms from the list of places where trans people belong. I felt that if we were going to dress our gym and ourselves up in the symbology of pride, that we owed a responsibility to trans folks, and especially trans women. If we were going to participate in the NCAA and have a pride game, the least we can do is reject static triumphalism and point directly to the attacks on queer folks. And we didn't do that. Without belaboring the point, I fought with the head coach about this and quit my job a couple days later. I feel both the passage from Deuteronomy and the Sylvia Rivera quote speaking to me as I reflect on this conflict over the Pride game. The Deuteronomy, as we've already discussed, speaks to the conflict over genre. Other folks on the team were satisfied with a celebration, which rang hollow for me when the event had the potential to sow the seeds of resistance to trans exclusion in the NCAA. And from Sylvia Rivera, we are reminded that the broader queer rights movement still has yet to come for trans folks and has yet to really stand behind them. So I hope what you'll take away from this message is that in this Pride season, folks around you are going to need your prophetic ministry to push them to consider carefully the genre of our events and to reject static triumphalism. And the genre of our events must be decided with an eye towards building our power for change. This was the ministry of Moses to the Israelites in our passage from Deuteronomy, and its ministry we need still. I also hope you'll take away a rejection of asking folks to wait their turn. If we're going to struggle for queer liberation, and not just gay rights, we need to recognize that none of us are free until all of us are free. And that means putting the people under the fiercest attack up front and standing behind them, instead of relegating them to the back.
None of us are free until all of us are free. Words of Fannie Lou Hamer. Thank you, Cal, for that incredible message and that courageous practice that you were in standing up for all of us. Next, we would like to invite to reflect Reverend Tyler Heston Wolf, who is the Minister of Spiritual Formation and LGBTQIA plus development at Christ Church, New York City, a progressive congregation of the United Methodist Church in the heart of Manhattan. He is also a doctorate student in the Bible and Cultures program at Drew Theological Seminary, where he studies queer biblical interpretation. In ministry and scholarship, he works to discover the sacred connections between queerness and Christian spirituality. Tyler was raised in Memphis, Tennessee, and previously served churches in Fort Worth, Texas, and Kansas City, Missouri. Thank you so much, Reverend Tyler, for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this worship tonight. As the little bio described, I get to do a lot of thinking about what we're talking about this evening, but very rarely do I get to do it in a space like this with such a sense of worship. Already this has been so nourishing. So as was just said, my name is Tyler Heston Wolf. I'm calling in from Brooklyn, New York, where I live. I have white skin, I'm wearing glasses, a mustache, I'm bald, and have a couple visible tattoos. I'll have a slideshow and I'll describe some of the images as they come along, though they are pretty detailed and easy to get lost in, as we will see. But I am thankful to be here tonight. I'm thankful to my friend from Kansas City and now New York, Latia, for the invitation to share this reflection. Thankful for the leadership and for all of your trust with this moment of reflection now. So as I reviewed both of the readings for tonight, I was reminded about how Pride today, for me at least, sometimes feels like we are in a wilderness season, like that Deuteronomy passage announced. It's been more than 40 years since the first Pride riot, but I feel like we're circling in a desert. So we've both come a long way, and as Sylvia's words have reminded us, we still have quite a ways to go. So instead of celebrating a promised land that we've already arrived, tonight I want to invite us to think about the in-between. I want to introduce to you someone who, through one specific piece of art that they offered, helps me do what Deuteronomy talks about and hold memory of ways in which folk have lived in the in-between and queer ways in our past. A queer saint to me, Larry Mitchell, who lived from 1939 to 2012, was a New Yorker and a sociologist and an author whose work explored what it meant to live and to, as we'll see, keep each other alive. That phrase was one of the guiding pieces of wisdom that went into a specific book that he wrote and for which he is best known, a playful and imaginative text with an intentionally provocative name. The Faggots and Their Friends Between Revolutions was published in 1977. You can see the cover and one of the images of few abstract people dancing on your screen. This 110-page book that one of my professors called the Little Red Book is something like a fairy tale meets a manifesto for what Morgan Basicis described as a, quote, clandestine network of chosen family making lives and plotting revolt in an empire in decline. The pages, decorated with lively art from Ned Astra, include short stories and character vignettes and illustrated snippets of, quote, faggot fables and women wisdom, form a loose narrative in which the titular faggots and their friends, like fairies and queens, use the ruins of a city at the center of an empire in order to render new space for community and being. Now on the screen is a picture from the middle of the book that shows a city that reminds me of New York, where Mitchell lived. Mitchell was a New Yorker, but said that the book was first conceived on a visit from New York to San Francisco on what he called one drizzling, stoned night, hanging out on the Castro Street, watching those amazing faggots play with their amazing friends. He said that originally he wanted to write a children's book, but as he drew on both urban queer subculture in the 1970s, as well as his own participation in communal living projects, particularly one called Lavender Hill in upstate New York, the Faggots and Their Friends grew into something much more. Part one, entitled The Way It Is, forms this fairy tale-like mythology of a world ruined by an old revolution in which ancient faggots forgot who they were and turned into, quote, men, leading to the eventual empire that the book takes place in, one that Mitchell calls Ramrod. Readers learn about Ramrod's failing imperial machinations, how men are obsessed with pushing around paper in meaningless patterns, and about its vapid emperor named Warren and his fuckpole, who's this paranoid and vicious king cut from the same cloth as a pharaoh or Trump. But nevertheless, the faggots find ways to survive and sometimes disrupt the system. Part two, entitled The Energy of Oppression, details these disruptions along diverse portraits of characters who each cultivate ways to live until some future revolutions come. Readers learn about characters inspired by Mitchell's friends named Hollyhock and Moonbeam and Heavenly Blue and Loose Tomato, each living in differently shaped networks that sustain them. Places like Gay as a Goose Tribe or the House of the Heavy Hunks. But readers also learn that there is no essential definition for a faggot or a friend. Anyone can become one. The future lingers over the book with some final revolution, a promised land, if you may, that will, quote, engulf us all, and in which the faggots and their friends will cease to be the faggots and their friends. But the text is not so teleologically concerned. Unsure endings fill its narrative and its reception and its history. Mitchell himself did not leave behind much more work. And he only lived in Lavender Hill some few years before returning to the city for a quiet life with his partner. And the book itself went out of print in 1988, almost forgotten, though in the past decade it's been reprinted twice and revived into several musical adaptations. On the screen now is an illustration from the book in which a fairy flies over some faggots and their friends running around in a circle. In a 2019 reprint of the book, the author and activist Tourmaline talks about how in today's moment, it's a moment, quote, between revolutions, this book is right on time. In this moment of immense conservatism and austerity, the faggots point to sharing and distributing the abundance we already have, end quote. To me, the faggots and their friends is a memory that we need. I see it as a sacred invitation to live otherwise within the declining empires around us today. It shows us, as we've been remembering tonight, that the movement that we inherit in pride was never about becoming included into the empire, but about learning to do something different within it, and to disrupt it, to survive it as it decays. On page 35 of the book, it says that, quote, we got to keep each other alive any way we can because nobody else is going to do it. The Faggots and Their Friends is a project of memory, about remembering those ways of living that do get forgotten and erased, and remembering how we can live differently too. Deuteronomy's call for remembrance of those 40 years of wilderness comes as a reminder of how God kept God's people alive in the in-between. And while Deuteronomy was written about ancient Israelites escaping Pharaoh and Egyptian rule, it was written to an original audience, 6th and 7th century BCE, who were living under the unsure rule of the Babylonian Empire. So it was written to remember something that it invited its audience to live into. The Faggots and Their Friends is similar, and it's not a perfect text itself. Some have critiqued it for its fantastical imagery as a bit abstracted, perhaps escapist in a way that life has not always led us or need us to escape from its demands. The way in which it's changed and evolved over its 50-year history shows that it captures a memory that was never meant to be perfect, but rather meant to be animated and kept alive. I think this is why the Faggots and Their Friends has received renewed love over the past few years. On the screen now is a picture of people dancing and playing music drawn from the original illustrator just a couple of years ago. As we look about our world today, we need this invitation to live differently, to live freely. And as we celebrate Pride, we need to find new ways to dance and live and sing, not as subjects simply safe according to the standards of an empire today, but a sacred life that lives beyond all limits of the systems of domination from which we long to be free. I had a chance to see a reproduction a few months ago of the Faggots and Their Friends, from which the picture, just the same image we just saw, just brought to life, was captured from some of the actors who played at this Baroque musical at the Park Avenue Armory just in December of 2025. My favorite moment from the night was a sing-along, which made this theater feel more like church than highbrow Broadway. The song was about those men and their papers, seen from the original text that talks about the men writing and signing and passing along useless papers that distracts others from the damage they're doing in the world. It was eye-opening to watch the crowd get uncomfortable enough to sing along as the performers left the stage, throwing papers all over the room, on the floor, towards audience members in the stands. But for me, it was a glimpse of one way to remember and embrace and practice what it looks like, tell and retell stories of what it looks like to live in the in-between and live into the otherwise ways that God calls us to live. Amen.
Amen. Please put some words of encouragement and throw some emojis for Reverend Wolf. That was brilliant. Thank you so much. I'm getting that book. Oh my gosh, I learned so much tonight. Thank you. And next, I'm excited to invite up Minister Zach White for our Friends of the People, or Prayers for the People.
Thank you, Ciara. I love you all. I've missed you all. My name is Zach White. I was a fellow with the Kairos Center. I'm in Portland, Oregon. You said Friends of the People. I'm a Quaker now. I am an organizer with a youth collective here in Portland called Next Up. And as Quakers, we sit in silence. We worship together. None all of us are Christian. I love worshiping with people who have a totally different idea of the divine than I do. So I welcome us into that moment of openness to the Great Spirit. We are grateful for the prophets of the Freedom Church of the Poor. We are grateful for the reminder that Pride is not just a celebration. I think for me, Pride is a witness. Pride is bearing witness to prophets like Sylvia Rivera, who said that gay revolution is not just about white middle class gay people. Pride is bearing witness to the clandestine networks of chosen family that Tyler reminded us about. At this time, also, we can put any prayer requests in the chat that we have. Our hearts are heavy thinking about people who are suffering from war, people who can't pay for the rising prices of gas, of rent, of healthcare. We think about the God that some of us were told to pray to in a negative way. Some of us were told to pray the gay away. And I think about the God who the prophet Ezekiel saw, and the only comparison he could think of was the rainbow. I pray to the God of the rainbow, the God of resistance, the God of justice, the God of the poor, the light within us. When God shows up, it's not in black and white, it's in technicolor. Thank you, God. We feel your presence and our love for one another. Amen. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Also adding Cynthia's prayers for the people of Gaza whose oppression is getting worse, and the idea for targeting babies in their mother's arms. Thank you, Zach, for that beautiful and powerful prayer. I'd next like to pass it back to Minister Adam Barnes for the prayer, or for the, y'all, I swear I'm reading this document, for the calls to action.
Thank you, Ciara. Yes, this is Adam again. Thank you all. This has been such a nourishing, like Tyler said, service. Just want to read a few of our announcements, our calls to action. Ongoing call for support of Reverend Tani. Folks want to chip in a little bit. Reverend Tani's struggling to meet the basic needs, so medication, food, and gas, and continues to be in the fight every day, but could use a little help. So we'll drop the link for that. I got an announcement or a call to action today from our dear friend at the Coalition to Dismantle the Doctrine of Discovery, Phoebe Chatfield. So she shared this announcement that tomorrow, if folks are around, June 8th at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, there's an event called Decolonizing 250 Years of America, Reckoning with Our Past and Weaving a Collective Future. We are in the 250th anniversary of the founding, quote unquote, of this nation. And it is still extremely contested what that means. So if you want to join and learn and be with folks who are trying to reclaim and redefine and re-envision what it means to heal and to be in this land together, please join that. I think it is, we'll drop the Zoom link there. But they're doing stuff all year at the Coalition to Dismantle the Doctrine of Discovery. So this was actually sponsored by the Mennonite Church. All right, ongoing announcement, call to action to be part of the Free Families Coalition. Free Families has been gathering people for months now. Started off as part of the work to resist detention and deportation and the terrorization and separation of families, but has really grown to include a lot of other struggles and other leaders. But they create spaces every Friday at 4 p.m. to exchange tactics, to share testimony, to build community. And it's a beautiful space, very similar to what we have here at every Sunday. So if you haven't already, or if you are, continue to join that space and invite others in. Just a reminder of the calendar coming up here at Freedom Church. We got a few more powerful weeks of Pride. This has been so great. This Pride. It's just been, just amazing so far. And I'm very happy about it, a little overwhelmed. And then next month, we're doing a whole month on disability justice, including we're going to be reading some texts and do some study on the Disabled God theology, liberation theology book that was written about that struggle for justice. So that's coming up in July. And then in August, we're, I think, in our 4th year of Black August. So look forward to all that this summer. And we'll drop the link for you to sign up and stay in touch. And I think we're going to pass it over to Jacob for our closing cultural offering.
Thanks so much, Adam. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for everything. This service was really, really deep. So special to be here all the time, but especially for Pride. There's that great line, "Emancipate yourself from mental slavery," and it's not the song that I picked for us to close out tonight, but so there's many of them, but there's a really good Bob Dylan song, "I Shall Be Released," which Dylan wrote, kind of, I think, about people enslaved, imprisoned. And there are a lot of people, our friends and family, who are in many kinds of prisons, but the largest, most prevailing one that in some ways is even the cruelest, is that mental prison that keeps us divided, that keeps us from working together to actualize, heaven on earth, and meeting God's full justice for all people. And so, just thinking about, again, the readings, this sort of challenge to wake people up, to challenge them. I was really thinking about this as an act of emancipation, as really leveling a demand for people to free their minds, so that way they can act to liberate society from these fetters that keep the life of so many of us brutal and short and undignified. So anyway, that just was my thinking along this, but let me share.
They say everything can be replaced, though every distance is not near. So I remember every face of everyone who put me here. I see my light come shining from the west unto the east. Any day now, I shall be released. They say everyone needs protection. Say everyone must fall. Yet I swear I see my reflection someplace high above this wall. I see my light come shining from the west unto the east. is someone who swears they're not to blame. All day long I hear them shout so loud, crying out that they were afraid. I see my light come shining from the west unto the east. Any day now, any day now, I shall be released. I see my light come shining from the west unto the east. Any day now, any day now, we shall be released. Any day now, any day now, we shall be released.
Any day now. And next, last, we'll have a benediction from our dear Shun Tucker Allen of New Disabled South.
At a time when so many of us feel lost, with hope dwindling, thirsty for a world that makes room for us all, hungry for a justice system built on fairness and honor, longing for an accessible world, a judge-free world, a world that embraces all of our queerness. We long for a world that sees all of us in the scriptures, where every worship service, every scripture study is read through the lens of liberation. And we know with every breath in us that the time for that world is right now, that we can no longer wait, that we are, as Dr. King wrote in Letters from a Birmingham Jail, caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. We know that whatever affects us one affects us all, and that this is indeed the time of revolution. This is the time. Our dear brother Bayard Rustin challenged us to have a group of angelic troublemakers in every community. And so, beloved, may we remember the words of Moses, that through every turn, every affliction, in the dark of every night and the light of every day, that God, in all knowingness, continues to sustain us with the familiar and the unknown. May we continue to be fed by the manna of the ancestors, and may it be the nourishment to guide us, the inspiration to revive us in the weakest of our moments, giving us the courage to endure this race. May we be comforted in the painful, painful moments of this struggle, knowing that this is not our battle, but indeed the Lord's, who ultimately directs our journey. May we be ignited with the fire of our dear sister Sylvia Rivera to never give up and to see ourselves at the front of the bus like Rosa Parks did, to stand firmly against every single attempt to shrink us, whether that attempt be inside of us or outside of us. And may we remember the chants of our ancestors, and that we all grab an oar and row in this boat, that we get there together or we never get there at all. In this season of unrelenting unrest, may the North Star continue to guide our paths towards a more perfect world. And may our gracious God continue to cover us in this battle for the soul of humanity. Amen and Ashe.